And we're back. I'm Veronica Diquez, and you're watching Home Story with Veronica on Now Media Television. Let's jump back into today's conversation.
Welcome back to Home Story. Want more of what you're watching? Stay connected to Home Story and every Now Media TV favorite live or on demand anytime you like. Download the free Now Media TV app on Roku or iOS and unlock nonstop bilingual programming in English and Espanol. On the move, you can also watch the podcast version right from our website at www.nowmedia.tv. From business and news to lifestyle, culture, and beyond, Now Media TV is streaming around the clock, ready whenever you are. Welcome back to Home Story. I am here with the beautiful Tiffany Dearman. And now we are talking about the seller's side of the journey, which is a completely different side than the buyer's one. Specifically, how to prepare a home for the market in a smart, strategic way. The problem facing many sellers is that getting a home ready for the market feels overwhelming, and it often feels like they don't know which improvements actually matter. Strategic preparation helps sellers invest wisely, attract buyers emotionally, and maximize value, which is what every seller wants in the end.
Yes.
In your professional opinion, what are the first few changes that you suggest that sellers make that truly help buyers fall in love with a home?
Okay, I love that question. And I love working with sellers. And first, I'm going to say the why behind the what. A lot of times, sellers don't realize their first showings are online. You have to compel people to get up off the couch and come see your house, right? And so we want to make sure we do the things that add a visual aesthetic appeal through a camera. Not everything you can see through that. So obviously, flooring is a big one. Flooring is a really big one, whether it's laminate or wood or, vinyl plank. That is a big thing that sellers can do that add value. Plus, flooring is something that changes a lot, over time. It can quickly date your home depending on, the type of flooring you have. Paint, flooring and paint can change everything. And I always tell sellers that, and just cleanliness. Just making sure that it looks like a move-in ready home, because you don't want people knocking off the value of your home just because the baseboards are scuffed up, right? Because for every $100 thing you can do, someone's going to knock $1,000 off the price, because
100%.
it doesn't make any sense to knock $100 off a $350,000 home, right? So those are some of the things that I immediately will let sellers know. And then sometimes I think sellers can be tempted to say, well, why don't I just not do that and let the buyer do it when, they move in, because they're going to want something different. And I said, that would be great if your first showings weren't online. But if you want someone to fall in love with your home visually, you want to do those. You want to put your A game on the market. I love sports. So I tell my sellers, listen, selling your home is as competitive as any NBA basketball game. And what coach do you know that would put their B team in and see how far behind they could get, and then at halftime pull them out and put the A team in to make up for lost points? It wouldn't happen,
I
right?
love that.
Right? So why would you do that with your house? Because you've got all these showings coming through Zillow and all these hundreds and hundreds of, sites, and you don't get that traffic back necessarily. So you want to leverage that traffic, and you want to appeal to the person who wants to buy your home when you hit the market. That's how you sell top of market. And so I always encourage them to do that. And then I'll let them know, based on research, which hasn't changed in literally decades, space is the number one feature. So we want to vaporize clutter.
Yes.
My rhymes. We vaporize clutter. We neutralize colors. We emphasize lifestyle.
I love that.
Maximize space. So I try to give them things that they can visually, grab onto. But that's the number one thing. Brick, and in most markets, is still very popular, and people love brick. Landscaping, if your landscaping's looking good, that's going to add to your curb appeal. So that's a big one. Front doors, people still upgrade their front doors a lot. And appliances, shiny stuff, right? So when you get the flooring and the walls are neutralized, and you might have a few, new appliances, and they don't have to be brand new. I never want my sellers to spend one penny more than is necessary to get what they want out of their home. But I want them to do what's necessary. And I don't want them to do what's not necessary because I always say cost does not equal value, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, if you want to get this, new hybrid $10,000 HVAC system, that's beautiful. But when people purchase a home, they expect it to have an HVAC system, and they don't
That's
really
it.
necessarily value that. So you may not get that back. So that's how
Yeah.
I help guide, my sellers so that they can, make sense. We can make
Yeah.
sense
And
of it.
and that's why it's so important for a seller to consult with a professional, because we
Yes.
we can truly tell them, hey, listen, this will add value, will not.
No.
It makes such a difference because they're thinking in a way that they would like the house to be, but that's not necessarily how every buyer is going to want their house to be. Like what you said, the fancy HVAC. They just want an HVAC. They don't necessarily want the fancy one. So
Right.
absolutely, I love that input. And how do you guide sellers in choosing between small cosmetic fixes and bigger renovations?
Typically I find I need to know why they feel the need to do a huge renovation. Once again, I'm like, let's do the anything that needs to be repaired, yes. Because once again, the buyer is calculating the emotional investment of fixing stuff. And they're always going to calculate it higher, usually, than it would cost you to do it before they ever see that. So any repairs that need to be done, I'm going to tell them to do that. But huge renovations in a home, if you're getting ready to sell it, I would say typically you just have to know that there's no guarantee that you're going to get back out of it what you're putting into it. If I could tell you, and I get asked this question all the time, well, if we do this, how much more will we get?
Yeah.
If I
Yeah.
could tell you that, I would be on Wall Street, right?
Yes,
I'd be
exactly.
here.
If I had the magic ball.
Yeah, it would be a whole different thing, and I wouldn't be here right now. So I can't tell you that. But what I can tell you is what people are paying for. I can show you what people are actually paying for in your neighborhood, what they're paying for in this market. And so, what you should feel good about doing because people have already demonstrated they're paying for it. And that's how I help them with the whole renovation thing. It just may not make a big deal to someone if turn this, closet or this bedroom, into a study and do that. That might not be the thing
Yeah.
that's going to make the difference for you.
Exactly. And I love that, nowadays, us as realtors, we have resources from other companies to actually help sellers do this. I literally just put a house on the market and my client was afraid of, you know, dipping into their savings they had to do some renovations. Otherwise they
Yes.
were going to sell for really low. And now there's companies that can do the renovations and they don't pay until closing day and so
Yes.
forth. So don't my message to all the sellers right now is talk to a professional because Tiffany will have those resources for you. There is not just one way to do it. There's many ways that we can help you get that done. So it's very important that you work with someone like Tiffany for that. And Tiffany, how do you help clients understand what buyers are really looking for? What we were talking about when they walk through a home. How do you explain that setup for the sellers for them to understand what a buyer's mentality is like?
Yes, that is very helpful. Well, first of all, buyers have budgets. So they're first looking for something that, it's going to fit their lifestyle and their family needs, but also fit in their budget. The best thing is when your seller is a buyer also. I love that because then we go look at houses together. And then I can just show them and I can see their reaction when they see certain things, like when it's not clean or when it's not well lit, and they make comments. And I'm like, see, this is what you don't want to do. You're
Yeah,
making you're making my job easier because now you can see as a buyer what attracts you, because that's the most important thing, is to be able to put the seller in the buyer's mind. That's our job. Because it's so easy when you're a seller not to go there because you love your house, right? You love everything you've done and somebody else should love it as much as you. But when you can put the
exactly.
buyer's mind, right? And you can show them
Yeah.
the types of things that buyers appreciate and that buyers are looking for, which again could be space or just updated. They don't want to have a money pit. They don't want to buy a home and then have to, fix things or, replace the water heater right away or the HVAC
Yeah.
system, that unknown. That is a fear for buyers. And so those are the things we talk about too. I do with sellers.
Exactly. And that's how they're going to get the best return, right? And the best profit when they sell their home.
Yeah.
So, Tiffany, before I ask you the next question, I do want to make sure that our viewers know how to get a hold of you. So, if somebody wants to consult with you, if somebody wants to go to your website, how can they reach you? Please give us all your information.
Okay, so they can go to therealresultsteam.com. That's our website. They can find me there. They can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, not on YouTube with Real Results, but all of it is Real Results Team Indie. Real Results Team Indie. So they can find me on all the social media sites and my website. So it's pretty not too hard to find me.
I love that. And you help not only buyers and sellers, but you actually help agents and agencies, correct?
I do. I have an
Okay,
actual sales coaching business, and that's
perfect.
X Factor. And I work with high producing agents and new home builder sales teams. And I teach them that buying process, and I teach them how to walk clients through that buying process effectively so that everybody's on
Perfect.
the same page. Yes.
Because we have all
Yes.
channels who can reach
Yes.
out to you. I
Yes.
love that. Now, very quickly, because we have 1 minute before we have to go on a break, can you share maybe one detail or one transformation story when something small made a big difference?
As far as the seller's home,
When you were helping a seller, yeah.
I'm pretty bullish about not putting my sellers' homes on the market until they're ready to go. But
Okay.
I will say I have had a seller who just really, really, really did not want to replace the carpet throughout
Okay.
the home. And we did it. They were on the market a few weeks. They weren't getting, the response that I set the expectation we should get within this amount of time, or else there's a sweet spot we're not hitting. And
Yeah.
we were getting some views, but not the actual offers. We replaced the carpet. Photos looked so much better. And I think
Yeah.
it took us
And
another
it moved.
4 showings.
Love that.
And we had an offer.
I love that. So it made a big difference. Now, up next, we're going to talk about how buyers can stay confident and competitive in fast moving markets where homes don't stay available for long.
Yes. Great.
We'll be right back with more stories, strategies, and inspiration to help you write your next home chapter. This is Home Story with Veronica on Now Media Television.